Drew here, Frisco Tennis Shop. In this brief video, we're going to talk about tennis string tension and how it affects spin, or really how it doesn't affect spin as much as you may think. There's a little bit of a debate on that. I think there's some misconceptions on that. I'm going to give you my opinion on it in this video. So tennis string tension can range anywhere from the 30s to the 60s. Even back in the day, it was 70. You don't really hear it going up that much nowadays, but it can. But how does someone like a Jack Sock, who strings in like the 30s, which used to be unheard of, which is very low tension, get great spin on the ball? And then you have someone like Novak Djokovic, probably the best player in the world right now. He goes around 60 pounds, and he also gets crazy spin on the ball. The reason is tension doesn't really affect the spin of the ball as much as you may think, or as much as some people may think. The most important part of spin is going to be technique. It's really the most important part of every part of the game, but really as far as spin goes, it's going to be technique. It's going to be how you grip the racket, how you drop the racket, where you make contact with the ball, how you lift up on the ball. That's the most important part of spin, a lot more than tennis string tension. That being said, many people think higher tension leads to more spin, and I think the reason why is higher tension is going to give you less power, more control. So when you have less power and more control, what that basically means is you can swing harder on that ball and still keep that ball in the court. Well, the modern day swing, when the tip is beneath the ball coming up on the shot, that gives you the opportunity to swing even harder on it. So when you do that, you're actually going to get what seems like more spin on the ball. So I think that's why a lot of people with higher tension think they get more spin. I think it's simply just because they're swinging harder on that ball with that higher tension, because there's less power on the racket bed. They're swinging harder on the ball, so they feel like they're getting more tension just because they're accelerating more than someone with lower tension. I think you could also make the case that lower tension gives you great spin, like I mentioned Jack Sock, because when you use polyester strings or a hybrid strings, your goal is to get the strings to bend at the point of contact and snap back. Lower tension allows you to do that more. It's a softer string bed, so it cushions the ball, so you're really going to have those strings move and snap back. So that's why someone who uses lower tension, which is a much more powerful setup than a higher tension, all else equal, can still get tremendous amount of spin on the ball. So I'd say if you're looking for spin on the ball, really don't worry about tension as much. Tension is something you should focus on with your game as a whole. Do you play a control game? Do you play a power game? What are you looking for exactly? Most people are going to string between 45 and 55 pounds. Here in the US, we use pounds rather than kilos. Other parts of the world, they use kilos. But 45 to 55 pounds is what most people are comfortable with. You can go outside that range and still get plenty of spin on the ball either way. And as far as a firm string bed goes, that's also why stringing pattern is important. So if you have a 16 by 19 like this stringing pattern, it's a little bit more powerful setup than an 18 by 20. Again, people can use both stringing patterns and get plenty of spin on the ball, even though one's more powerful than the other. Say an 18 by 20, that's going to be a firmer string bed. You can get spin on the ball because you're going to be swinging a little bit harder on that ball, because it's going to be more control, set up a firmer string bed. 16 by 19, you should get some good slide and snap. So both can be very effective when it comes to spin. I'm going to link below to a Tennis Industry Mag article that I think really gives a more detailed description of what I talked about. I think the consensus is tension isn't as big of a deal on spin as other factors. You'll hear some people say higher tension gives them more spin, but for the reasons I laid out, that a more controlled setup allows you to swing harder, which is why many people think that is the reason why, in my view. It's a great debate about tennis tension. I love talking about it. There's a lot of things you can do with your racket to give you more spin. The type of string you use, people use polys with those squared edges, the type of grip you use, many different things can affect spin, but tension probably isn't as important as many people think about it. I'll link below to some strings that I really like for spin, that I recommend for spin. I'd actually recommend going a little bit lower on the tension range because they're made to dig into the felt on the tennis ball, so you're going to be a little bit tougher on the arm. So if you're looking to use a poly string and looking to really get some good top spin on that ball, these strings could be very helpful. This has been Drew from Frisco Tennis Shop talking about tennis string tension and how it affects the spin on the ball, and I hope you found this video useful.